everybody. We are Larry and Sue Pruitt, and we're here on the Gen 224 Marriage Podcast, where we help Christian married entrepreneurs build the business of their dreams
without wrecking their marriage. Sorry, I forgot I was supposed to say the second half.
That was your line. Come on.
Oh, not 10 seconds in and I messed up already. But
that's okay.
Anyway.
That's okay. We are real and raw and
this is true.
Unedited for the most part.
This is true. Yep.
Although this is probably the first episode where people may notice a really nice introduction to the podcast.
Thanks to our editor.
Yes. We'd like to thank our oldest daughter, Rebecca, for that. She is a professional editor, and we have brought her along and asked her to do this for us. So.
Yes. And she was willing. It wasn't no coercion involved. So
yes, if it was unedited at the beginning, she wasn't willing.
Yeah. Oh boy, we showed our hand then.
We have.
But speaking of which episode, this is episode number 18.
Yes, it is. So we are making some progress here. Hopefully, we're providing a lot of great content, and you're finding some good value out of all of this.
Absolutely. So today,
yes, this podcast has got a fun name to it. And we're calling this Sue Dreamed a Dream. We talk about dreaming a lot.
We do. We talk about dreaming together as a couple, about dreaming about the future and what you can do to make that future what you envision it to be.
But it's kind of funny. Like, English, it's got different words have got kind of dual meanings, or maybe more than even two meanings. But generally, when we talk about dreaming together, we're talking about casting a vision and goal setting and seeing the direction that the Lord would have you go, your calling, so to speak.
Right.
But today we're talking about like a literal dream.
It was a literal dream, which is really unusual for me. I mean, I probably dream like everybody, but I never remember my dreams. If I ever remember anything, it's usually like a little snippet. I don't really know what the theme of the dream was. I just know this little snippet and I have no idea, the context or anything.
Right.
But in this case.
So we're going to recreate like from Genesis with Joseph or from Daniel. So we're not just going to give the dream, but the interpretation of it.
Yes. I'm not sure it's as monumental as Genesis, but.
We need to be clear, we're joking about that.
Yes.
But
don't send us your dreams and expect we're going to know the interpretation.
No. But in this case, though, you did have this dream and you couldn't really figure out what was going on. And as you were talking about it, it was very clear to me what the dream meant. So
it was so wild because I think pretty quickly in that day, I came to you and I said, I dreamed this dream last night and I don't get it. Because first of all, I woke up and I realized, I had a dream last night. Wow. I remember the dream. I remember like the whole thing. And it's not like it was a super long dream or anything, but so here's the dream. You ready? I'm going to tell you what the dream was.
What's the dream?
Everybody's dying to know.
Yes.
So, first of all, the setting, we were outside. Well, we were in a car and we were outside and it was gorgeous out. It was like what they call golden hour, like the last hour before sunset, and everything just looked like the colors just amazing, the right level of red and yellow in the air and everything. And we were in a car and it was pretty small. And because we were sitting really close to each other in the car, that's how I knew it was pretty small. And you were driving. And we were driving on this road that it was like at the peak of I don't know if you would call it a mountain because it was long. So it was just like this road atop this, I don't know what you call it, mountain. I don't know, but it was long. And like, so both sides, there was nothing on the side of the road. It was like just the very top. We were just driving on the very top.
There wasn't a mountain on one side with
it was a drop off on both sides. And then it was like that went into two valleys, and then there were like mountains on each side of us that, went way high up. And the only sky that I really remember noticing was like ahead of us. So when I looked to either side, I could see the mountains and they were beautiful. I could see the trees and There was lots of red clay dirt that I could see kind of below the tree line.
A lot
and
of details here.
It was, and it was just beautiful. And I couldn't take my eyes off of the surrounding. And I looked at the road and I knew, like, if this was real life, I would be terrified. Okay. But I wasn't scared at all. You didn't appear to be uptight at all. You were just driving along the road, just going.
Sure.
There was nowhere for us to turn, so we had to go on this road. And I just kept thinking to myself, I should probably be scared, but it's just so beautiful. I just can't not enjoy this ride. Everything looks amazing around us.
The drop off was deep though.
Oh, it was very deep. It was like, I couldn't see the bottom. I never saw the bottom.
Yikes. So, okay.
And
the road was
narrow,
not very wide.
No, it was like just wide enough for our car. So like there was no way to turn around or anything. Like we didn't have a choice. We had to go down the road.
Okay.
So, or I guess we could have gone in reverse, but.
Oh, that would have been worse.
But I was just like along for the ride and just enjoying the drive and enjoying the beauty that I was seeing.
Mm-hmm.
So I told you about this and I remember and I was telling you about this saying, I don't get it. I don't understand why I had this dream. And the look on your face told me that you might have an idea of what the dream meant.
Was there more to it? Was there something at the end of the road? I'm trying to remember.
There wasn't. I mean,
So we just kept driving.
The road looked like it was just going to go. And then, kind of like at the horizon, how you lose sight of things over the horizon. It's kind of what it was like.
Okay. Well, yes. As you were saying it, I was just like, why are you so confused about this? Because the interpretation here is that it was just an analogy of our life.
And as soon as you said that, I thought, oh, you are so right.
This is entrepreneurship.
It really is. Because we were in this place that most people would have been terrified, white knuckle, gripping the sides of the wheel or grabbing the door if you're the passenger and saying that you don't fall off. But I was just watching and enjoying it.
And apparently I was relaxed, which I do not like heights.
Yeah, so. I was. That was another thought that was going through my head in the dream. Like, wow, Larry's handling this really good.
And we weren't just creeping along either.
Oh, no, we were driving. We were driving like at normal speed, 45, 50 miles an hour, something like that.
All of this kind of combined together made me think this is kind of like our life. Is like, there's no turning back.
No.
We've made this commitment that, without like grave danger for us to turn around. It's like once you jump off the cliff, so to speak, once you make the decision to make entrepreneurship your full-time income, like, yes, there's exit strategies but we really haven't had that.
Right. Well, every analogy breaks down at some point.
Of course.
But this was very much what our life has been like.
Right. We
turned onto this road, we committed, and we're staying on this road. Here we are.
Yes. So it's like, you got to just keep going because there's not a whole lot of alternative. But I think a big part of it also is not, like right now we're kind of focusing on the narrow road and the big drop-offs and everything. But you gave such a vivid description of the beauty around us and how we were enjoying the process, when maybe we should be a little bit more aware of the danger that we're in. So it kind of on the heels of I think it was just our last episode where we talked about, define entrepreneurship in one act. I mean, this is defining entrepreneurship in one dream.
Yes.
Right. And so probably anybody who has started their own business, and especially once you've taken that leap of faith and you're doing it full time, I think people will probably resonate with, that dream kind of sounds familiar, to what it feels like. It's like, we absolutely love the process, but man, there's a lot of dangers around, or at least it feels as if there are.
Well, we're like working without a net, so to speak, when you're in entrepreneurship. And that is kind of what that dream was demonstrating a little bit. And, I can't emphasize enough, the road was like just wide enough for the car. Like if we had stopped and opened the doors, there would be nowhere to put our feet, like other than jumping down the cliff, that we were at the top of. And the whole time I just kept thinking, all I could think about was I was consumed with the beauty and what a beautiful day it was and how neat it was to be able to see what I was seeing on the mountainsides. And yeah.
Yeah. So that's the dream and kind of the interpretation. And then I thought it's fun if we just gave like one example. I mean, it's a pretty involved example of how this has really been indicative of our lives as entrepreneurs. And so we're going to rewind just a little bit in our past to the year 2018, because that was a year that was challenging.
That's one word for it.
It was a difficult year.
Yeah.
And it started pretty early in the year. I think it was March or April, whenever everybody in the family came down with a flu virus.
A flu bug. Yeah.
Yeah. And if it had been a couple of years later, we'd said we all had COVID.
It wasn't that.
It wasn't COVID. It was a flu bug. And so everybody in the house got sick except for me. And so everybody was kind of getting sick. And for the most part, I think you all had it for just a little while.
Yes. And I think that we should mention like where we were at in our business at that point.
Yes.
Business was humming along really good.
Yeah.
And you were our sourcer. We were in e-commerce sales.
Yes.
And so Larry was the one who was going out every week to get the product that we needed to sell. And then I think at that time we had preppers.
We had preppers. Yep.
So you would take it to their house and then they would
prepare all the product and ship it in for us. Yep.
And, but you were the driving force.
Yes.
If you did not go out and source product, then nothing got sent in.
Yes.
Okay. So now everybody else has kind of started getting better.
Yes.
And you get
And then
sick.
all of a sudden I get it.
Yeah.
And, let's see, I'm trying to remember. I think we had all 7 of us in the house at the time. And it was kind of a common thing is whoever got it last got it worst.
Yes.
And I don't know why.
Yeah.
But I got it really bad. And so I was like on the couch for, I'd say, a couple of weeks anyway.
Yes.
And then it got where I wasn't getting any better and went to go see the doctor, and come to find out I got pneumonia.
Yes.
So the flu went into pneumonia. So now I am like wiped out. If you've had pneumonia before, you kind of get it. Like it is just saps all of your energy. And so for being the person that would go out and purchase all the inventory, there was none of that.
Right.
And so there were some that I could order online, but even some stuff happened there. During this, that's kind of part of the story. I guess I could tell that also is that we had 2 of our top sources where I could order stuff online, and they both within about, I don't know, 2 weeks of each other decided that they no longer wanted sellers on the platform we were selling on. And so it's just like the rug just got pulled out from underneath us.
And we lost a couple of really big brands that you got by just going to the store. Those got what we call gated, and we weren't able to sell those anymore either.
So all of a sudden, those items that were in our inventory are now not available for sale anymore.
Right.
Like
we bought them, we sent them in.
Percentage of our, I think I remember seeing that like those wholesale sources were around 20-25%, and then these other 2 brands were 20-25%. So we're to 40 to 50% of our inventory is just gone.
Yeah.
Overnight while I'm laying on the couch.
Yes. Yes.
And so.
And we didn't have a backup.
No, we had.
Nobody else.
We had no guardrails on our little road.
No guardrails.
The doors were hanging out over the edge of the cliff or whatever.
Yeah. So that led to. Okay, so you've mentioned that you got pneumonia.
Yes.
You didn't mention the other piece.
No.
That you broke.
Yes. Oh my goodness. Why didn't I remember that part?
Well, that was probably the worst part.
Yes. All of a sudden, like my back was just aching like it's never hurt before. And I've had back issues before, right in the middle of my back. Makes me want to sit up straight.
Yeah.
And actually, this was happening around the time that I was being diagnosed with pneumonia. And I used to work for a radiologist. All right. So not that that means I can read x-rays or CAT scans or anything, but I got a copy, went online, got a copy of the notes. And in there, the radiologist who was reading it talked about a fracture in the vertebrae, in one of my vertebrae.
What?
And oh, by this time,
yeah,
I'd been to see a chiropractor.
Mm-hmm. That was a painful visit.
But I did tell him, like, oh, you got to stop. That hurts too much.
But that doesn't mean that he didn't try to adjust. And it
he
wasn't
did
his
try.
fault. He didn't know you had a break.
Of course not.
Yeah.
No. So yeah, this is starting to like
bring back that memory.
It's a painful moment.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But anyway, then I was able to see that on my report, thankfully, and I called the doctor's office, and they started backpedaling, to be honest with you.
Because they didn't tell you about it.
They did not tell me about it.
They told us that he had pneumonia, but they didn't tell us about the break. And so he had been trying to push through and do a whole bunch of things that were not easy for him to do. Yes. So, yeah.
So then, and when I went in, I told the doctor about my back pain, but he just was really focused on the one thing. Mm-hmm. And I get it. Pneumonia is a very serious and significant thing. Right. I tried to give him a little bit of a break. No pun intended. But they missed it. Mm-hmm. The office missed it. And so, praise the Lord, I saw that on the report. I called, I got the information. Like, there's not a whole lot you can do except for let that heal, but it's going to take some time now. And so I think I was told 6 to 8 weeks. I couldn't lift any more than 10 pounds or something. Mm-hmm. And because during that time, one of our kids was actually moving out of the house, and I could not help at all with the move. Felt horrible the entire time. So that was another big change we were going through. Was our oldest child was leaving the nest. That was huge. So here we are. We are going from, I think it was March or April whenever I got sick, and so this is carrying us through the summer months now. Mm-hmm. And our business is basically down to zero. Mm-hmm. I mean, and we didn't have like a big amount of money sitting in a war chest in a reserves or anything. Again, we're driving down that very, very narrow road, speeding along. Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden there's these massive, just obstacle after obstacle after obstacle in our way as we're trying to speed down this path. Mm-hmm. All right, just to keep it the analogy here. Yes, absolutely. As we're going. Mm-hmm. So we survive. We go, okay, like there's no product. There's no money coming in. There's nothing to buy product with. Yeah. What are we going to do? Right. So we did get creative. We did have some other income streams that weren't doing a lot at that moment, but we were able to kind of work on that a little bit. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But we also, I started looking for jobs, but I'm thinking, how am I going to work with my back? I can't hardly lift anything. And again, I'll say again, praise the Lord, because I was able to find a temporary full-time job that really, it just lasted 3 weeks. Mm-hmm. I had to go out of town for it. It was not in my skill set, really. And I hated I really hated most of it, just to be honest. There were kind of some extra little side components of it that I liked. For example, as I was out of town, I was able to take one of my kids with me, and our youngest son went with me during that time. He was 12 or something like that. And he says that, well, I don't know if it's still, but for a long time, he said those were the greatest 2 weeks of his entire life. Mm-hmm. So how could I hate that? Right. Exactly. It was time he got with you, and he got to, and honestly, it was some exposure for him to the world, and he got to do some really cool things. It was definitely that. I'll tell you. It was just a little bit of a rough environment that I was in. Yeah. And, I was able to protect him for the most part, but, along the way, he learned a couple new words, unfortunately, and he was 12. It was time for us to start explaining some things about the world to him. And so that gave me some really good opportunities there. Absolutely. But, not necessarily the way I would have preferred to do it. Mm-hmm. And if I would have known about that, we may have made some changes, but that's another topic. Yes. Right. So I worked that job, and through that, I get paid pretty well for the job. And then there were all these extra little opportunities that came up. And I was told that those opportunities would come up along the way. And they were just like, we're fine with it. The employer was like, you do it. And,
other opportunities to make a little bit of extra cash,
to make some extra
and
cash.
and it was all, legit, and it was exciting, and it was,
I had the approval of the people in charge.
Yeah. And what was amazing was that was hard for you to be gone for 3 weeks. And it was hard for me being at home with the kids. And although for a lot of that time, most of the kids weren't even home. We had camp going on and all that kind of thing happening. So, so that was hard.
Yeah.
But it was nice to feel a little bit of income starting to come in again.
Yes.
And extra. And it was really exciting to see how the Lord worked that, because he actually took that 3 weeks and he provided for our family for like the next 6 months through that 3-week time period. And
so this was in the middle toward the end of July, just to give that time frame reference. And so that really carried us through until the busy season for our e-commerce business. And so that was just a perfect segue for us to be able to be able to make it. And really, we went in survival mode.
And we remained full-time entrepreneurs. We were able to stick with the dream that the Lord had laid on our heart, and we were still able to continue that. But it revealed some things to us.
Yes, definitely. Some areas where we realized we had left ourselves very vulnerable in that, like, for example, we have said that a few times, that I was the only person sourcing product. And we realized we need to get some other people on the team who can do that. And so starting in 2019 really was whenever we started hiring additional employees. We expanded out to, we got a warehouse at that stage. So
that happened in 2020.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So this was a couple of years,
right?
Maybe at least 2 years, maybe 3 years, that we really started building out some things. We put some standard operating procedures in place, and just
changed a little bit about how we sourced, so that you could also do some ordering from home, or whenever that might present itself. But we really hired enough people to keep the business running, even if something happened and you went through an illness like that or anything like that again, where you wouldn't be able to actually participate in running the business for a few weeks at a time. And we got ourselves protected.
We'll save 2021 for another day. But we did, another very similar circumstance happen just 3 years later, and we were much, much better off. So it took a little bit of time, but we didn't want to do it too awful fast, because that can really harm a business as well. But we were able to put some more security maybe into place, some systems into place, and that really helped.
It really did. And so having done that, we also added a couple of other streams of income, or built up a couple of other streams of income, I guess. And we were able to, like you said, build out that team. We went up to, I don't know, we have like 6 employees or something after that.
Well, counting our family, we were in the double digits.
Oh, we were. Yeah. Okay. Alrighty. So
we count as employees, and our kids. They were
we had
also
some of our kids working for us, and So for us, the exact way that it happened was a bit unique. Not everybody experiences that type of thing, but all entrepreneurs experience challenges, and at some point probably experience low points in their business.
Yes. And that's true, really. Honestly, it's for everybody.
Yes.
But again, whenever when you're driving down that narrow path, though, there's just not as many options to pivot or to adjust. And so definitely anyone who is an entrepreneur who's watching this is just like, oh yeah, you're probably thinking right now of circumstances that happen if you've been doing this for any length of time at all. So we kind of want to, as we start wrapping up here, is to leave with some takeaways, some things that you can apply in your own business, in your own life, to help you for for those days and those seasons that are, I hate to say it, but I'm sure we're going to have more. And
Yeah.
I'm sure that
Mm-hmm.
the people who are
Right.
watching and listening are going
Right.
to experience more also. So what are some takeaways?
So one of the takeaways was to build systems. Obviously,
Yeah.
that's one of the things that we talked about. Notice, like, you don't have to experience what we did to take a look at your business and see what are our vulnerabilities,
Yeah.
and make some adjustments and shore up your protection in those areas.
Yeah. And another one is we always encourage couples to have a budget that they work on, both personally and in their business. But something that we have really just learned recently is to have an emergency budget as well. So again, I mean, it's better to do these type of things ahead than when you're in the midst of the stress and the trial itself. So have a budget where, like, okay, if 50% of my income just got cut off immediately, what are the first things that I would be canceling, right? Probably some streaming subscriptions, are top of mind, and eating out and things like that. So what are some things that you can do to kind of build a little bit of a hedge ahead of time for that? And also some things that you can just have that emergency budget ready to go. And hopefully you never need it, right? But if you do need it, it'll save a lot of stress at the time of trying to figure all that out.
And one of the things that you can do to mitigate the need for a too stringent of an emergency budget is to create an emergency fund and hold some monies back, build that up so that you can, I mean, anybody who's been budgeting personally, the value of having an emergency fund to hedge against unexpected car repairs or things like that. Well, there's unexpected things that can happen in your business. So it's good to have an emergency fund for the business too.
We kind of have to expect the unexpected.
Yes.
And that's kind of hard at times. But so again, another takeaway here that really helped us was building a team around us. And that can look in a lot of different ways. I mean, the first thing you think of is employees, probably, and people who could step in and do certain roles for you if you're not available. But it could even be tools. It could be automating certain things so that whether you are there to, look that up every single day, if you're not available, you don't have the energy because you're sick, those tools keep going. So just putting things into place like that, where you kind of expand out that team, and it's not everything's not riding on just your shoulders.
Yes. And kind of in the same vein, building out multiple streams of income. And this one is tricky because you have to do it thoughtfully and you have to do it carefully, because if you try to do too much all at once, you can make all your streams go down, and you don't want to have, because you can't keep them all going. I liken it to spinning plates. You've probably seen the circus act where the guy or gal would take a plate and put it on top of a post and get it spinning. And then once that was going well, then they would get another plate, put it on the second post, begin to spin that. And you want to treat your streams of income the same way. Work on it until it's going smoothly, then turn your attention to another one. Don't forget to keep the first one going. And you can do that for a few. If one person can only do so many plates.
And then you assign a team member to take over one of them. And,
exactly.
And then you build things. And all this has to be done slowly and steadily. We never recommend trying to start 3 or 4 income streams all at once.
Right. No.
That would be terrible to try to get all 4 plates going at one time. It just would not work. So
you probably would lose plates.
Yes. Yeah, for sure. And so just a couple of other, I would just say we have learned I don't know, it's just been something that we've had to work our way through. But we have learned to trust the Lord through all of these different circumstances, all of these different challenges. And it has truly improved our prayer lives.
Absolutely.
And that can kind of sound a little bit flippant, but I would say that we've always been praying people.
Yes.
We are Christians. And we understand the value and the importance of prayer. But it's so easy to say that. And sometimes for whatever reason, it becomes hard to actually practice that.
Mm-hmm.
And especially as a husband and wife praying together.
Yes.
And in 2018, we were praying a lot.
Yes.
And in 2021 and really
Mm-hmm.
beyond.
Right.
And now it's just a daily routine habit that we have. And if we don't do it, it's like something is really missing.
Mm-hmm. We feel it for
Yes.
sure. For sure.
So we encourage you just to trust the Lord through this entire
Mm-hmm.
process.
And the other thing that I think that we really have learned and was demonstrated in my dream is enjoy the ride, even with all the bumps in the road and the turns and the obstacles or the dangers that you may see. There is no better place to be than doing what you're supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
And even with all of its challenges, there is something for you to enjoy in every step of the way. Yeah. So enjoy your ride.
Absolutely. And I think that's a great place to end. Make sure that you take the time to enjoy the freedom of time that you have. Again, I'm thinking of the full-time entrepreneurs. If you're doing this as a side business right now, that's a great dream and a great goal to be striving towards. But definitely enjoy this process, and just stay on that path.
Absolutely.
No matter what you see around you.
Yeah.
So, well, this has been a lot of fun.
It has been.
Sue dreamed
a little weird to tell my dream, but it was.
Yes.
We want to encourage you to take what you have learned today and continue living as one flesh today,
tomorrow,
forever.
Take care.
See ya.